Faster than writing to a letter form. More thoughtful than angry clickbait. Able to discuss the world's first superhero and his cousin in comics, film, TV, and more. It's the Supermaniacs, and we're about to have a super fun time talking about the new Supergirl trailer that just dropped. I'm Fatheree, this is Mike. Mike, how the hell are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. This trailer is pumped me up a lot more than even I anticipated, because I've just been chomping at the bit to see more DC stuff, and then it's like a shot of adrenaline to the heart.
Yeah, it is nice living in the DCU era. If you're enjoying the recent content with Superman, of course, but also Creature Commandos, Peacemaker Season 2. We're gonna have that Lanterns show in a few months. I guess that's like the biggest question mark right now. Will they pull that off? But this Supergirl movie, looking to be the biggest DC movie of next year. So.
Yeah, it's crazy because we got an official thing from them and a random clip from Lanterns that surfaced online. So it's just kind of funny that we have some stuff that showed up in the DC universe, so unofficial, and one that just sort of is official technically. Just I don't know what it was for. It's just showed up online all of a sudden. If you've seen that clip.
I did see something, and I think it might have been something for, I don't know, internal purposes. Maybe that was like from like a Discovery Warner investors meeting or something, and then it leaked online, or I don't know what was going on with that, but
yeah, it feels like it's a part of a montage of other things, like when it's like these are the upcoming shows of the year type of thing, and then it's just like part of it since it's such a small piece.
But the odd thing is that we now know a lot more about Supergirl than we do about Lanterns, and they keep telling us Lanterns will be out in the early part of next year, which is like, okay, if it's coming out in the first half of the year, we're going to see Lanterns before Supergirl. So
we only know like there's 2 actors in it, and that's kind of it for Lanterns, and that it's on Earth for now,
or at least those are there's some other casting news, but like we don't really know like what characters they're playing. Like there's some people are like, oh, I think this random dude is going to be Black Hand, and this guy is Atrocitus, and it's like, well, I hope they are. That sounds cool, but
yeah, the weirdest part is that like we haven't seen any outfits in any way. Like, cause like we saw Supergirl, there's already a teaser. There was already a teaser of her in her outfit, poster wise, and Superman. She's in her outfit. Like, it's not like, and Lanterns, all we see are the 2 of them walking down a road, and we barely even see a ring. And the only reason we saw a ring recently was because it was in that one random clip that showed up. So it's like, what's really happening here?
Yeah, so that's the place where like I still need to be convinced. But with Supergirl, on the other hand, I guess this will be the first DCU project that James Gunn is not writing or directing.
Yes, and which is one of the most exciting things about this happening, because everything involving the DCU so far has all been in Gunn's hands. The Suicide Squad being added to the timeline, Creature Commandos, Peacemaker Season 1 and 2 technically now, and Superman. And so now we're just like, what does this universe look like without his hand directly on top of it at this point?
Yeah. Well, judging by this trailer, it still looks an awful lot like James Gunn, or at least Guardians of the Galaxy. But
this is the thing that's really funny about it, that everybody keeps mentioning, is that this trailer feels more like something James Gunn had made than the thing he actually made recently for Superman. Because it's got that music to it, intergalactic crime stuff going on, like a kind of anti-hero type vibe. That's where we're at with it. It's like, it very much feels like if the DCU was made by somebody else, this is what he would have made, kind of thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
this
like
is what his contribution would have been.
If Kevin Feige was in charge of this massive DC comic universe and was like, hey, James Gunn, come make a movie, he'd be like, okay, here's my version of Supergirl. I mean, it worked for Star-Lord, but we can let the trailer speak for itself. We can just go ahead and play it right now to refresh everyone's memory on it. So let's take a look at the first trailer for 2026's Supergirl.
You managed to get most of it on the paper this time. Good job, buddy. Hi, cars are out. Hereby declare the 23 will be the best year yet. Let's be honest, babe, it's not a very high bar to clear.
I didn't know any of you were still alive. What was it like to lose everything in a day?
Krypton didn't die in a day. The gods are not that kind. Okay, this does not look like this is gonna end well. For you guys.
Do others on your planet have powers like you?
No, it's a pretty small group of two.
What's Superman like?
He sees the good in everyone. And I see the truth.
So, just like a initial reaction, Mike, what was your first thoughts like after seeing the trailer for the first time?
My first thought was I should read the story this is based on more than anything, because it's not because I didn't know, like mostly because I was very excited by it, and I was very interested by what was going on in it, because it's like clearly I like it's from what I little I know, they're not there for Supergirl specifically. She just happens to be there, type of thing. And I'm also very interested in the fact that Supergirl is shown as that much more different than Clark right off the bat. And the fact that like there's that great line she has where she's like, my cousin sees the good in everyone and I see the truth as her line. But it just shows how pessimistic she is about the universe in general. Because it shows that Supergirl has been through a lot. I also like the fact that she's 23, because that's the other thing, is that like we're so used to Supergirl showing up and she's like 15 type of thing. They've been at this for 3 years, or Superman's been at this for 3 years. We don't know how long Kara has been at this. We know she's been around. Like from based on the fact that nobody knew that crypto existed until recently, makes me think that she showed up almost just as recently as crypto did, type of thing.
Yeah, maybe they'll combine their origin. Maybe they'll arrive on Earth together.
Yeah, and then there's the Daily Planet has a great like subtle hint to how the Earth even looks at her. Her accomplishments aren't seen as like triumphant as Clark's are, because Clark in the beginning, his thing says like save the town from some catastrophe, and then she's like bottom right that just says, oh yeah, she saved a cat, I guess. Type of thing. And you're just like, what the fuck's happening? And we don't really know the exact time frame this takes place, because the newspaper isn't, it's not like the newspaper is the day of type of thing, as far as we know. The newspaper says it's October. Peacemaker is probably around this time as well.
But it says October of 2026, so it sounds like this movie will be 2 years after Superman's movie that came out.
Okay. I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Or wait, no, it's 1 year. 1 year after.
1 year, but so. Well, that's the thing. Well, I know that Peacemaker takes place after Superman as well.
Right.
So has a year passed since then, or has it been like from there?
Yeah. So I guess that's the latest thing I've heard from James Gunn himself is that as things come out, we should assume that that's the order they take place in, unless they tell us otherwise.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that the timeline will go Superman, Peacemaker season 2, Lanterns, Supergirl. But yeah, I mean, like, who knows? Maybe Lanterns will be, non-linear. Maybe it'll be like all over the place. They'll have like flashbacks or something. I don't know. We're kind of just speculating, but
Yeah,
I
there's
guess
going to be a
like
lot of speculation from us. One, because I've never read the story this is based on, but I know a little bit about it because I've read bits and pieces. So like the people said it's really good. And I was just like, I'll give it a glance, and I did glance at it. I like literally glanced at it. I watched the story. It's like, what is it? Maybe I'll get to it eventually. And so I just read like little excerpts, like some very exciting excerpts that get brought up in a lot of verses talk. If that makes sense.
Well, I have read the story, and I avoided reading it because I originally read the first 2 issues, and I thought something really sad happened to Crypto. I was like, oh, like, does Crypto die? But then I guess I misunderstood what I was reading, but it was enough to make me not want to read the series anymore. And
See, that's
then
what happened to me. It was because I had read the Future State Supergirl story. Because for people who don't know, Future State was a time frame that DC did. It's like this is the future of the DC universe, essentially. And for some comics, it was like things to come. Sort of like for Superman, it showed the War World Saga, sort of as a like a sort of version of the War World Saga. For Batman, it showed a version of a storyline that happened but didn't turn out the way it happened in the comic or in the Future State timeline. Same with even the Superman one. And so the Supergirl one takes place like way in advance as well. But Crypto is dead in that time frame. There's like a headstone for him and everything, and Supergirl just being like sad about it and stuff. So I thought he was going to die in Woman of Tomorrow, and I was like, I'm not going to read that shit. Tom King, get that shit out of my and so I avoided it entirely because of it. I read the first issue, and then I found out what happens, and then I was just like, well, I don't want to do that. I don't have time for that right now, and so I decided not to read it. And then everyone said it was great, and then by the time I decided to read it, I had already moved on, and I just forgot about it entirely. And I don't mean that as in like, oh, Supergirl, I don't like comics with women. It's like, no, I just haven't got around to it. And Tom King is also hit or miss for me all the time, so I wasn't sure if it was going to be for me or not because I've heard various things about it from some people, but for the majority of people I know really loved it.
Yeah, Tom King's a creator that I also struggle with, and this isn't a surprise. I'm sure like even like the biggest Tom King fans are also going to say like, oh, but there are some stories he wrote that I just I just cannot forgive.
Look, if you like Heroes in Crisis, I don't trust you.
That's what I was going to. Like, I've never
right
met a
after your
single
camera.
person who likes Heroes in Crisis. Like,
I met one years ago, but when he explained it, it was all the stuff prior to where it goes wrong that he liked. I was like, okay, I understand that part.
but that's the thing about Tom King is he has a lot of good ideas, but he wants everything to be terrible. Like all of his stories, they're very much the same things. It's like a lot of trauma, a lot of grief.
Well, he worked for the government prior to writing comics. This is the thing a lot of people don't know about Tom King. I'm bringing this up to the people who don't know this. Tom King worked for the CIA during the post 9/11 time frame, and he's got a lot of guilt for it.
Yeah,
is the best way of putting it, because all of his comics are about the guilt of so many things.
and there's like war crimes or atrocities in like every story that he's ever written that I've read.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody about it, and they're just like, I was just like, you know what, my favorite thing he ever did was Superman Up in the Sky, because it has the least amount of war crimes in it, which is still a lot, but not as many as the others.
But that's a great example of he can write really powerful, good, emotional stories that carry a lot of weight. But yeah, it is something that kind of concerned me about reading Woman of Tomorrow. However, reading it's one of my favorite Tom King stories. There are still like some things in it that really bother me, but overall, I love the the kind of sci-fi fantasy vibe of it. It's very unique, I think, in a world full of so many superhero movies, and specifically a lot of Superman and Supergirl type stories. Like they just did a TV series that lasted like 6 or 7 years, starring Supergirl. So
It lasted a long time, and it I liked it quite a bit for what it was. There were some parts here and there that were iffy, but that's more because they ran out. Their budget was slashed because they went from being a CBS, I have so much money to give you, network, to CW going, well, I got $20 in my pocket. Good luck with that.
yeah,
Type of thing.
have some fun reusing the CGI assets you got from CBS, because you're not going to get much more budget from us. But
Yeah.
be what it is, we've got the perfect CW superhero show, and it was Superman and Lois, not Supergirl. But they covered a lot of ground, with that show. They told a lot of stories, had a lot of episodes. So Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow seems like honestly a truly good Supergirl story to put forward right now to audiences to introduce this new version of the character. It will be unlike most things people have seen before. I say that, but then everyone's going to make the Guardians of the Galaxy comparisons.
Well, the reason I think it's a good idea to do it this way is that one of the reasons the CW show, the CP/CBS show, it was one of the reasons Superman and Lois had to be what it was that Supergirl as a CW show was just a Superman show, like where she took like all of the Superman stuff, and so there was like, it was hard to be like, well, it was hard to argue against being like, well, why don't you just make this show with Superman instead of Supergirl type thing? Because the majority of the show was just that. So what people were worried about in the beginning, especially when all they heard was there's going to be a new Supergirl movie, like, well, it's just going to be Superman. Like, it's going to be about like, golly gee, I'm Supergirl and I have ponies and rainbows and sunshine type of thing. Is like, because that's kind of what you're expecting. Because especially when it came to what people think Superman is and Supergirl is versus what they really are in comic books, because a lot of people don't know a lot of them outside of certain things. And so with Supergirl being like, a super harsh character in the Flash as well, but also being a very lighthearted character in the CW show, this movie feels like we're getting the best of both worlds, which is that we're getting a character who's jaded but not overly jaded, where she's like, death is sad. Like, she's not a goth like type of Supergirl type of thing, but she's not Superman either. So it's like, this is the perfect thing to do, because you still get the wonderful colorfulness of Superman, but you still get that sort of like, I am not my cousin type storyline, which is why I'm very excited to see where this goes, because because the fact that she's off-world means that you can play with like even stronger things that she deals with. The fact that she's like, Superman is essentially James Gunn is accidentally showing that Superman is taking care of the equivalent of domestic disturbances, and she's taking care of like the equivalent of like galactic disturbances because of it.
Yeah, I think that's really important to lean into the differences between your Superman and your Supergirl, because they have so many similarities that are unavoidable to escape. Like, just visually, she has almost the exact same outfit as Superman, except girlier. It's like, oh, I have long blonde hair and a skirt. Okay, other than that, same wardrobe. The exact same power set. Origin stories. They're both the last survivors of the doomed planet of Krypton. They have so many things on paper that are identical that you can't separate. So, in terms of personality and in terms of the type of story you're telling, I think, yeah, you need to drastically shift. We can go through the trailer and just kind of talk about the various shots and dialogue we get in there, but I just want to acknowledge in the live chat, Hunter Iggy is asking us, what are our thoughts on people bashing and hating on Supergirl? The weird thing I keep seeing, Mike, I'll let you answer, but I keep seeing like a lot of people just making fun of how Millie Alcock looks in this movie, which I think is is interesting. Like like a lot of losers just being like, why'd they cast someone who looks like a boy to play Supergirl, as if like any of these guys would turn down someone as gorgeous as Millie Alcock. But like, if you look at this cute girl and you think that like she looks like a boy, I think that says much more about your sexuality and preferences, and maybe you should evaluate some things there. But
No, yeah, everyone who's hating on everyone who's hating on it says one of two things. One is that they're sexist as hell is one thing, or actually three things technically. This two, they're a Snyder person. They're just like, I wish it was still I already forgot. Is it Sasha? Sasha something? I'm trying to remember what her name was. The one who was from in the Flash movie. Like,
Yeah.
I still wish it was her because I wanted to fuck her, type of thing. Or the third thing is, which is that they're like, it's two Guardians of the Galaxy like type of thing. Those are the main three things I've heard. The third one I get. That's a fine criticism to have. This
Sure.
is the first trailer. We've been tricked before by trailers that are like, here's the I got tricked by the Adventure Time trailer, or not Adventure Time, the Adventure Land trailer years ago. We're like, it's a laugh out loud comedy, and then you watch Adventureland, and it is not a laugh out loud comedy. The same with Observe and Report with Seth Rogen. They're like, it's a laugh out loud comedy. That's also not a laugh out loud comedy. For all we know, this is just a quick, like, well, let's get people excited trailer. And then when we get a full on real trailer, it's not going to get that same Guardians of the Galaxy vibe. It's going to be a much more or much different like type of trailer. For all we know, the movie is not even going to have some of these songs or have the song inside of it. Although, real quick, I want to point out that I am impressed that aliens have a record player.
I mean, they
that
also
doesn't seem to be like an like that symbol doesn't seem to be like from Earth. Doesn't seem to be Maxwell Lord related.
Oh yeah, it does look like alien tech. Yeah, well, it's kind of a simple machine to have an Earth vinyl record player. So you could probably go to I don't know, the alien version of Radio Shack and
Yeah,
get
because
everything you need to build it.
Yeah, remind me because somebody online had put a joke thing where they're like, how come the batteries lasted so long in Guardians of the Galaxy for Star-Lord's thing, and James Gunn had to be like, look, they mastered intergalactic travel. They can figure out how batteries work. I don't see what's wrong with you people, type of thing.
Yeah, you just go to the black market tech engineer guy on Nowhere, and you're like, hey, here's some credits. Can you build me some Earth batteries? And he's probably like, sure, yeah. Give me a
Yeah, they
couple
probably had
hours.
equivalents for it, for all we know. Maybe it's the same new alien batteries in it, for as long as we know.
So let's take a look at this trailer, I guess, more closely. It opens with the alien record player with some alien liquor bottles around it. I guess the labels all seem to have some made up language on them, and the song that we get is "Call Me" by Blondie, which I like that song.
It's a very fun song, and it really sells with the story or the vibe that Supergirl herself is. She is the actual full on punk rock type feel, compared to Clark's like punk rock being nice type of thing.
And we also see like where she lives, her living space, just dirty floor, dirty clothes, dirty crypto doing dirty things on the newspaper.
It's like an alien RV is like the best way of it seems to be.
Yeah, but it's more of leaning into Clark would never. First of all, he would never allow his place to be this messy. We saw that at that neat ass Metropolis apartment he had in the movie.
Yeah, and there's a name on that byline I've never recognized. It was like Gabriel something.
On the newspaper. Well,
yeah, for who writes the fact that Superman saved the day, it says by Gabriel something, but I don't. There's nobody in the Daily Planet that I know is named Gabriel.
But yeah, Superman gets the big front page picture. Supergirl, it's just the little Supergirl rescues cats in the corner.
It's funny because even the picture, like you can't really tell, but it almost looks like she's not really interested even in that picture. Like, because they're like I feel like if I had that picture full blown, she would look bored while holding cats in her hand, type of thing.
Yeah, I guess that's another difference to lean into. She doesn't smile for the cameras. Supergirl might not be interested in having a good relationship with the press or a positive image in the minds of people, like was apparently important to Superman. in the previous movie. So, yeah, maybe she's just a bit more like, Earth is just the planet I live on. I really don't care if the people like me or not.
It doesn't even feel like she lives there. It's more like her. What's the word I'm looking for? It's literally what it is. It's her cousin's house. She shows up at her cousin's house every now and then. She's a free roaming person. Is what this trailer seems to sell it to me, more than her being like on Earth. If that makes sense.
So we see a shot of her waiting at the interstellar bus stop. I guess there's this bus that she's on. So in the comic story, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, it's basically Kara is out partying on other planets with red suns because it's possible to get drunk there if you're a Kryptonian. You know, they brought that up at the end of the Superman movie. And along the way, she teams up with this young girl she discovers named Ruthie, and they go on a kind of a buddy road adventure type story. They have a bad guy they're trying to get revenge against. And I'm wondering if this bus that we see her board in this movie, this is going to be kind of the main way that their main source of transportation from planet to planet. I'm guessing that we'll see them visit, multiple different locations over the course of the 2-hour movie. Probably cut out some of the things from the comic, but also use some of them.
Yeah, it's like very interesting to see. Like the vibe is different from what I've been told by people who've read the comic. Is that in the comic she feels more like Supergirl feels more like a Furiosa type character than just the sort of this burned out, like what she is here.
Yeah, which I kind of like the movie version. She seems just more fun and less miserable. But yeah, the look that we see her in with the trench coat. I don't know if she's wearing like the Supergirl costume with the skirt and cape under that. But that's actually like the first issue of Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. She's wearing this kind of a brown trench coat looking thing like this. So that is I guess comic accurate.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what stays and what doesn't. Because there's one thing that we know about the storyline is the fact that she is 23 here, and I think she's not even that old in the comic, as far as I know. She's like
in the comic,
early 20s.
In the comic, it's her 21st birthday she's celebrating. But I guess the thing that the comic plays around with that the movies didn't, or the end of Superman didn't get into, is that the reason why she goes and celebrates by getting drunk on these other star systems is she's trying to forget her past. She has a lot of trauma that she's carried, unlike Clark, who was a baby when Krypton exploded. Like, she was actually old enough to remember it and had connections and a life and a home there that she lost. So it is definitely a lot more trauma for her.
Yeah, Supergirl's always been I actually remember Krypton. No matter which version of it, she showed up at 15. She was in a lot of versions. She was supposed to be the one that took care of Clark, but instead she got transported somewhere else. This version seems to be going with the Argo City origin instead, that
was her original origin.
Yeah, which is like, because they've done different ones over the years. The Argo one was her original one, as well as like I know there was another timeline that used it as well. But most versions eventually stopped using it entirely, mostly because of the implications of how fucked up that is, sort of thing, and also the fact that part of it came down to the fact that DC was like, no more like last whatevers of Krypton. Like Superman is the last son. So when Supergirl finally came in, they were just like, the Argo thing is done. She ended up in the wrong wormhole, and she ended up just showing up years and years later, type of thing. But I actually really do like the Argo story more, because, especially for what they're doing, because it actually adds that much more trauma on top of Kara being the last survivor of Krypton, even more than even Clark is, because she is the last, to me, she's the last legitimate survivor of Krypton, compared to Clark being the last son of Krypton. Like he is the ideal, we are going to move forward from Krypton type of thing, where Supergirl is like, no, I was there. I remember our customs. I
Yeah,
remember
like,
being weird and shit like that.
she knows like what the Kryptonian food tastes like. She knew like what it was like to go to like all the big celebrations, or like go into school on Krypton. Yeah, like she's the one with all those experiences.
Yeah, and I'm curious if anything that happened in Jor-El's message will affect anything that happens in her remembering of the culture type of thing. I don't know if James Gunn had told them that directly type of thing, and it affected anything, because that I'm curious about.
Yeah, I think that will be addressed in here, at least to some extent, because they're going to have to just show some element of Krypton culture or life. Like in the trailer, we see shots of what appears to be Argo City, and maybe shortly before the destruction of Krypton. But I mean, like we see a weird sci-fi city and people running around in white robes, like what Jor-El and Lara wore in the Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see like what we see of, because they show that sequence of like them slowly dying off. Seems to be idea because what's her name? I'm assuming it's the same name as it is in the comic, which is it Ruthie?
Yeah.
She's asking like, well, did everybody die? And she's like, no, Krypton didn't die all at once. And and there's like the shot of them doing a funeral. It's clear that the people of Argo probably slowly started dying off. I wouldn't be surprised if Supergirl's the youngest person there, and literally all of Krypton died around her, type of thing. Like, I'm curious to see what caused her to end up on Earth and nobody else to end up on Earth.
Yeah, I mean, like my honest theory on what we're seeing in the trailer with the what appears to be a funeral is, I think that's going to be her mom, and then at some point after this, her father Zor-El, brother of Jor-El, after the Argo City inhabitants are all dying off, will build her a ship to get her to Earth.
Like maybe they find like a message from her brother being like, "Hey, I sent my baby this way," and then he's like, "Yeah, Carl, go down there. We're all dead anyways," type of thing.
But if
or maybe there's a magic orb involving witches. Sorry, I'm going for that. Basically, that's an old fucking Supergirl movie. The joke.
Hey, I want to talk about the Helen Slater Supergirl movie at some point in time, because I have a soft spot for it. I think
I do and I don't, if that makes sense. It's more of a nostalgia soft spot.
There's some things that movie does really well, and it's not a great film, but
no, it's not. It's a weird film.
I think Helen Slater was a very good Supergirl. But again, another example of why I think that they are totally justified in going with this more different take on the character here. With the I want the Supergirl with the rough edges, because Helen Slater didn't have that.
No, she didn't have the rough edges. Even CW Supergirl didn't have very rough edges. She did here and there, but not nearly as much.
The original CW, the Smallville Supergirl, she did.
She did, and as I mentioned, the Flash was a broken bottle type of like jagged edges type thing, because they had fused her with Flashpoint Superman, so it's
Flashpoint
like
Superman,
she was full of trauma type of thing, so I can't blame her for that.
Yeah, the conversation we get with Ruthie in the trailer, I think that's actually a line from Tom King's Woman of Tomorrow comic. The Krypton did not die in a day. The gods are not that kind. But I like that they lean into Kara as a refugee, and it makes sense that if Clark was a baby when he left his planet, but his relative is a bit older, that she would have a bit more of the trauma. It's something that I guess I've seen him in real life with siblings, and that something bad happened to them when they were kids, and the one who was 8 years old has a lot more. I'm not saying this happens all the time, just like I've known examples where the kid who is old enough to be aware of things and process it had a lot more baggage than the kid who's like, well, I was a baby when it all happened, I don't even remember it. So
yeah, it's a thing where it's like a lot of science says that people don't really fully get their long-term memory essentially activated till I think 3 or 4 sort of thing. So Clark is Clark is 0 when he fucking ends up on Earth. Supergirl's at as like she's 23 here. We don't know which age she is when Krypton explodes. For all we know, she stayed on Krypton for 5 years. For all we
Yeah.
know, type of thing.
And Millie Alcock is, young enough looking. They could get away playing her as like, oh yeah, she's like, 15, 16 when they leave the planet, and then by the time she makes it to Earth for this movie, yeah, she's 23. But they have like several years they can play. What I'm curious about is how will they address the time difference with, normally at some point in time Kara Zor-El goes into stasis or cryosleep or something, and that's why she still looks youthful when her baby cousin is 30 years old.
Yeah, that's the main thing. It's like what happened on Argo? What happened to the rest of everybody? Is she and was she in stasis when she got there, or did she just leave Argo and end up on Earth right away? How old was she when she arrived? That's the thing I'm curious about, because Clark has only been Superman for, at this point, if this takes place a year further, this is year 4 then at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Did she show up year 2? Did she show up middle of year 3? Did she even show up year 1? Like, we don't really know, like, when she showed up in his life. That's what I'm curious about, if it answers that question. Like, I want to see her, like, pass out or something and have a flashback to the first time she meets, like, Clark, like, as an adult, being like, yeah, I'm here to protect my cousin. He's like, yay big. He's a baby. Do you know where he is? And he's like, well, I used to be a baby. It's probably me.
But with the inclusion of her, sidekick character Ruthie, that gives her a character to dump exposition on, and tell her origin story to, and by extension let the audience see that stuff. So I think we'll get a full on Supergirl origin within this movie. We'll probably, by the end of this, here's my prediction. I think we'll know more about Supergirl's origin than Superman's, which largely just ignored all that stuff because, the audience has heard that story a lot.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to see what it is that makes her much, much more different. And this entire trailer shows how different she is. Also, the other thing I noticed about this trailer is she doesn't have her outfit for a lot of the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes me wonder if at any point, if maybe if she decides to really put on the outfit when she really decides to be like, I'm going to really help Ruthie out type of thing, or is this whole sequence like just the first maybe 30 minutes of the movie type of thing? Outside of the last like part where she pops up in her outfit.
I just want to point out from the live audience, Joel says aliens liked the Voyager record, so yeah, that might explain why they have these record players on other planets.
Yeah, that's why they
sent
attacked
records into space.
Yeah, that's why they attacked Adam Sandler or whatever, right? Because of the Voyager probe.
What was that in?
Those pixels that they take the games the wrong way, and then they make like weapons based on video games.
I
think
that.
That's the plot of Pixels. I remember somebody was talking about it recently, and I was like, "Is that really the plot of Pixels?"
I never saw that movie, but I remember when it came out, and everyone was like, "They just ripped off that episode of Futurama where this happened."
They really did.
But Joel also comments on the disco ball. He thought it was funnier for there to be a disco ball in space than a record player. So yeah, apparently like Earth culture has made its way into the intergalactic community of the DC universe, into the DC cosmic. But speaking of that, we get a look at like a lot of like alien thugs and stuff in bars, getting in fights with Kara. There's actually like a group of I don't know, space pirates, marauders, like really nasty bad guys that she encounters in the comic, the brigands, I believe that they're called. So
yeah,
that might be who we're seeing in this trailer when guys pointing guns at her and stuff.
And we know that Lobo's in the story, of course, but from what I hear, because this is the one thing I know that is of course different than the comic, but from what I hear, Tom King wanted Lobo to be part of the storyline before he was shot down by, I think, by the editors or something like that.
Yeah, and what I have also heard on that though is that the Lobo was going to be a bit more of a companion to Kara. Like maybe it was going to be him instead of Ruthie. But then, like in the movie, it's like Ruthie and Lobo doesn't appear in the comic at all. So
Well, I think the idea was that Ruthie and Supergirl were all after the one guy.
okay,
Because Lobo's a bounty hunter. Lobo hunts things for money. He doesn't.
sure,
He doesn't have allegiances outside of XYZ pays me more. So I think the idea was that maybe this is what I thought. This is what I think the original idea was that the guy that we know, Krem, had such a maybe has such a high bounty on him that Lobo just happened to be after him at the same time, and now he's gonna be like, and maybe it's like a race to see who gets to him first, type of thing. Like that's what I'm hoping happens more than like Lobo being an actual like villain, if that makes sense.
that makes a lot of sense to me. And it looks like the bad guy Krilm of the Yellow Hills. It looks like that they are changing him quite a bit from what I remember in the comic, and maybe making him into a bigger threat that would get Lobo's attention. Like, oh yeah, there's like a high bounty on that guy. He's mine. But we see him in the trailer. He looks pretty intimidating, but he looks very alien when we see his face. He's got yellow skin and like weird eyes and I don't know, like weird stuff in his skin on his face. But
They really made him like horrific. Where in the comic he just looks
like a guy with a beard.
He looks like he would be on a brawny thing if he was wearing
yeah,
flannel.
yeah, totally. He's looks
just
very
some guy.
human. He's I think he's like the same species as Ruthie. He's like from the same planet as her. And in this trailer she looks like a human girl. So it's definitely a departure from the comic, and which might make for a more interesting villain if he's a bit more of a just an all-around bigger threat, bigger menace. But yeah, I'm curious how Lobo will factor into the story. I guess the one thing that I said the trailer had to do for me is I went back and saw what I told you exactly, because I messaged it to you a couple days ago, but I said I need a shot or two of Momoa as Lobo, and it's like, well, in the trailer I get a shot, so they did the bare minimum of what I asked for.
They did, and what I find interesting is he looks like he's smoking something, and I wonder how they got away with that.
Yeah, Lobo, I guess, still smokes cigars in.
Yeah, well, the reason I bring that up is because in the modern age of movies and television, anytime somebody smokes a cigarette or cigar, it immediately turns into an R-rated or TVMA thing, because that's just what it is nowadays. That's a restriction. That's why if you watch a lot of movies, people don't smoke anymore in them, unless it's a rated R film. And the way they got around that in Supergirl is that the chief, Perry White, never lights his cigar the entire time he has it. It's just in his mouth. Because people were like, why is he doing that? It's because that's the only way he can have it and get away with not getting an R rating. So I wonder if like somebody there is like, well, it's an alien thing. It's not a cigarette. It's not a cigar. I don't know what you're talking about. Like maybe they got away with it that way.
Yeah, maybe it's a synthagar is something that they floated on Star Trek one time. Instead of having actual tobacco, it can be synthetic. But the shot we do have of Lobo, that is one of the I'm sure the most screenshotted images of any trailer to come out this year.
Yeah, and a lot of people have changed the lighting, like, or what the contrast things are called, so they can see him better, and he looks fantastic.
Yeah, it was I was a little sad that we didn't get more Lobo, but I would have been flat out disappointed if we didn't get anything. So, like I said, the bare minimum of what I asked for.
Yeah, and the thing that makes me interested is that this is all just Jason Momoa has wanted from the DC universe, even when he was Aquaman. I found this out. I thought it was the funniest fucking anecdote I've ever heard. Is that not Lobo, Jason Momoa? That's how much he's like Lobo. Jason Momoa auditioned for Aquaman, kind of in secret, and he in a way that like he didn't even know what it was for. Like Zack Snyder just was like, it's going to be a very strong character that could go toe to toe with Superman and Batman if they wanted to. He's like, great, it's got to be Lobo. I'm fucking look at me. I'm Jason Momoa. I look like Lobo. He's read every Lobo comic apparently. Like he owns them all. He's like I'm Lobo up the ass. Like this has to be what this is. There's no one else Zack Snyder would ask me to be. And according to him, after everything was said and done, he got a call from Zack Snyder going, "Hey, I think you know what this is about." He's like, "Lobo?" And he's like, "No, you're Aquaman." He's like, "What the fuck? Why am I Aquaman?" Like he accepted it because he's like, "I want to be in the DC universe, but I guess I'll do this if that's the case." And then James Gunn tells the story of how when James Gunn hired to be the new DC head, the first text he got was from Jason Momoa saying "Lobo baby?" ? And he's like, "Okay, yeah, like, there's no you want to be Lobo real bad. We all want you to be Lobo real bad." And so Jason Momoa got his wish. That man was born to play Lobo.
100%.
Incredibly happy they finally let him do it. Look at that guy. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, you couldn't ask for a better Lobo. You know, like over the years, there were talks of Jeffrey Dean Morgan playing Lobo. I think even like The Rock, The Rock really wanted to be Black Adam, and at one point they're like, "Hey, would you consider Lobo?" He's like, "No, I want to be Black Adam." But yeah,
we dodged a bullet on that one.
But the Momoa Lobo, it just seems like the most obvious casting for the DC universe in the world. But yeah, I love the idea of James Gunn coming into DC and just looking at the Snyder Justice League of Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck and Gal Gadot and Ezra Miller and just being like, "Okay, you're all fired except for you, Momoa. I'm keeping you as Lobo."
Yeah, it was the best. It's one of my favorite memes of just like, all of you get out of here except for you, and it's the clown from that SpongeBob episode with the clown.
Mm-hmm. And I guess
we got to keep him. It was the best. It was the best possible person. There's no one else you could have gotten for that role. If they did, I would have been upset.
And the fact that they don't show a lot of him in the trailer, it does have me a little nervous that he's not going to be a very big part of the movie. Like, what if he's only around for like one scene? Like, what if he's just like at this one location they visit? But
this is why I think this trailer is just the first like 20-30 minutes of this movie, because she's wearing the same outfit the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Type of thing. Like I have a feeling like this is all set up. Like this is probably just all set up for the movie itself, and then the actual movie itself is going to be much different, or maybe not even much different, but like, you know, maybe it'll be more colorful, because that's the other thing I've heard complaints about from people who read the comic, is that they like how colorful and surreal everything is in the comic compared to just the flat colors of. And I think it's just the planet they happen to be on right now. I think that's just all it comes down to.
Well, we also know that there's going to be 6 months of post-production, so I don't know how much of the movie's visuals are ready to show off. Just in the one shot we do get of Lobo, if you do tweak the colors and brightness and try to get more detail, he looks amazing. He has not only the cigar, but he has kind of the I don't know what you'd call it, the corpse paint, the kiss paint with the black eyes, and the I guess like the one thing that might be like a little new or something that I don't remember seeing before, but he has like a grenade around his around. He has like this necklace with like what looks like a grenade hanging from it.
Yeah, I think there's some versions of Lobos that has something on his necklace.
Is that a thing?
But it seems to vary on whoever is drawing him, because I've seen versions of him with something on his neck. The problem is it seems to vary on what it is. I'm trying to find like a good image of. Yeah, there's one here where he's got like kind of like a gas grenade on it, and then there's another one here where he doesn't have anything on his necklace.
What do I know about Lobo? I'm a straight up tourist. I don't know anything. I guess
all my Lobo.
All the time.
Yeah, all my Lobo knowledge comes from a very specific set of things. Anytime he's interacted with Superman, and this one time I read Lobo versus the Mask.
I've never read Lobo versus the Mask, but I've read a lot of the Keith Giffen stuff and his various encounters with He runs into Superman a lot because on Superman the Animated Series, they did one of the best depictions of Lobo ever that introduced him to a lot of people and just it made him into a Superman villain.
Yeah, he was incredible because he's the exact opposite when it comes. Like he is also the last son of
The last
whatever of his.
Zarnian.
He's the last Zarnian.
Yeah, yeah. So that gives him and Kara Zor-El a lot in common.
Yeah, and I also read the Phobo time frame. If people don't know about Phobo,
Oh yeah, the false Lobo of the New 52.
yeah. Although he was supposed to be the real Lobo, but
Nobody accepted that.
nobody took that seriously. He was like, "I'm the real Lobo. The Lobo you love is lame," and they're like, "No, you get the fuck out of my face with that shit." I love that the comics just forgot about him entirely and we all collectively assumed he doesn't exist anymore. Although I know he exists because he showed up one more time. He was shrunk down in a bottle in a Green Lantern story. And Guy Gardner finds him and Hal Jordan's like, "We don't want that one. Just put him back." It's really funny.
Yeah, they do have good casting in the DCU. Like, imagine Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner and we haven't even seen Momoa's Lobo, but I can picture it. Just like imagine the Momoa Lobo and the Fillion Guy Gardner having a conversation together.
Oh my god, it makes me the entire idea of Lobo interacting with anybody from even what we know now. Like imagine even just fucking Peacemaker meeting that guy. I'm imagining fucking Rick Flag Sr. meeting that guy, Superman, the Superman robots. He would be funny to meet anybody. That's just who Lobo is. He's a character who works meeting anyone, and I don't know why I find him such a perfect character because of that reason.
I need Rick Flag Sr. to meet this Lobo so that Lobo gets sent to Salvation and he can be part of whatever the hell they're doing there. I want Lobo there in the mix. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
That would be a ton of fun. I want Lobo to be. I want that fucking joke from The Simpsons where it's like when Lobo's not on screen, I want people to be like, "Where's Lobo?" Because I want Lobo in everything.
Well, I do think that with the marketing in this trailer, it might have been a smart move to just have like that one shot of Lobo because it's like, look how much conversation they're generating and how much buzz and interest the fans will put in this this one shot that'll spill over into the larger pop culture, and people will be like, hey, what's this Lobo guy y'all are all excited about? So,
do you think this story will end with Supergirl wearing pants?
I hadn't thought of that. I think she'll just be in the skirt like she was at the end of the last movie because that's the iconic look that they're going to use in all the marketing for this. But
yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, because I remember this story being like the first time that she ended up wearing pants, and she's basically been wearing that outfit since then, the pants outfit.
Yeah,
because I think the CW show was happening around the same time when they changed her outfit too.
It is possible. Yeah, they get her out of the skirt, but there's I guess like a shot towards the end of her in full costume after she does the fly up into space and scream. I'm a little sad that the back of her cape doesn't have the S shield, or no, it does. It's just under her blonde hair. Okay.
Yeah, there's another shot that I think you can see it on it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So I'm glad that's there, but yeah, the brown coat. Yeah, I don't know if like what you're saying, if this is all just stuff from early in the movie and then she'll ditch it after about 20-30 minutes, or if maybe they do save like the full on, she's in the costume kicking ass. That's something that happens like towards the climax.
Yeah, there's one shot that we've been passing over, but we did mention in passing, which is the idea that Crypto gets hurt at some point. And
yeah,
because there's the point where she's like petting him on a table. I know we're trying to like avoid some stuff, but he looks sad, and we're 99% certain it's because it's a spoiler for the comic, but it's like it's the end of the first issue if I remember correctly, which is that they both get hit by something because they're not as invulnerable because of the fact that she's partying in a town or in a place that's not a full-blown yellow sun, so they're not like invulnerable to everything. And so I'm guessing that's what happens at some point here. because it's clear that she's probably stronger than this, and which is why she's struggling at this moment because she's on a planet that's not. She's using her reserve energy essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, the red sun, yellow sun is going to give them a very easy way to nerf her power level. But yeah, the story will probably start off with Crypto being hurt. They're on a red sun planet, and then after that, she'll eventually get some solar sun exposure and start getting her strength back. But it'll also be kind of convenient from a dramatic point to kind of have her not be the Maid of Might, to have her be a little bit more on the same level as these space thugs she's going to be fighting, and have some more tension and jeopardy with that.
It also gives Ruthie a little more to do if Supergirl isn't like full powered at all times.
Yeah, because Ruthie is just like this little girl with a sword, basically. I say little girl. I think she's written to be like a young teenager, but
yeah, she's probably like Supergirl's age when Supergirl first started, type
yeah,
of comic book wise at least.
So they'll have some connective tissue, and then
yeah.
And Ruthie goes through some tragic losses early in the story that I think they'll probably keep in the movie, so that'll give them something to kind of trauma bond over, I guess. The guys with like Viking helmets and crossbows that we see shooting at Supergirl and Ruthie, those are definitely the brigands from the comic. Those are the space pirate raider guys who they just go around doing terrible stuff across the cosmos.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see how that plays out with everything that's going on because it's clear that Supergirl isn't here to be part of this. She's like, even in the comic, she was just celebrating her birthday.
Yeah.
And she stumbled upon something.
Yeah, celebrating / drinking to forget all of the friends and family that aren't there with her on her birthday.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if Ruthie, I'm wondering if there's a change of Ruthie seeking her out, or if it's the same thing of her just sort of falling into this issue, sort of thing.
But they do put the shot of sad Crypto in the trailer, and then sad Millie Alcock looking at the. I don't know if this is actually what she's looking at, but maybe this is how it plays in the film. Yeah, this is her looking at the dog.
It makes the most sense to me, because why else would Crypto look sad like that? And why else would she look sad looking at Crypto? Because you can't look at a dog who's fine and be happy about it, you know what I mean? Or be sad about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, if you're Krim of the Yellow Hills, he might be a big enough bastard that, like, I don't know, sad dogs probably make him happy. But yeah, she definitely gets pretty emotional in the trailer. Like, that shot of her, like, flying up into space and screaming looks pretty cool.
Yeah, and when she does that, she also seems to have the trench coat look. That's why I'm wondering if the Supergirl outfit thing happens is like a third act outfit thing for her, at least.
The shot of her in the costume, there's kind of like this hero shot. You see her like up, receiving a lot of yellow sunlight. So this is right before she's probably about to kick a lot of ass. It's the moment in the trailer when she says, "My cousin sees the good in people and I see the truth." But I don't know. It looks like she's definitely she's in a better mood here. So something is working out for her. But
that's the reason I think it's a third act thing. Maybe she finally like embraces. I feel like she's gonna get the thing that happens in a lot of superhero related media where they don't wear the thing till the very last chunk. I feel like she's gonna have that version of the story. But then again, I don't know. This, for all I know, this is the second act type of thing.
An interesting thing is that in the Superman movie, we never see him change costume from Clark to Superman. We don't know if he wears the suit under his Clark Kent clothes, or if he has to, go to a phone booth, or what the procedure is. So maybe we'll actually, or if he has like the new 52 like armor where it shrinks down into a thing on his chest. So
yeah, I would love to see one of these movies show me what's going on with that, because we never noticed in that one. I doubt she's wearing a skirt under her outfit when she's out drinking, because that was the thing about the comic, if I remember correctly, because I only read the first issue, is that she had a trench coat, but she had her outfit under it.
Right.
She was just happened to be incognito, essentially.
And after the first issue, she basically wears the skirt and cape until the end of the miniseries. So, yeah,
I'm
I don't
excited.
know. I'm excited. I'll say that I didn't full on love the trailer, but I really liked it. Like it didn't have like a moment in there like the Superman trailer. I cried when I watched it for the first time. Like it didn't quite move me that far, but it definitely has me. I don't know. I'd have to think. Like there aren't too many other movies I'm this excited for coming out next year. At least
Well,
like
what's
that
different
we've seen
about
stuff for.
Yeah, what's different about when Superman's trailer came out? It used it was the way a Superman movie trailer tends to be, which is it's all like orchestrated, like get your emotion running type music. That's what happened with the Superman Returns one. Even the Man of Steel one used a lot of that, as well as of course the new one. So, and it was also great because we finally saw colorful Superman again, as in a way that's just like we hadn't seen in a long time. It was so I remember getting very emotional the first time I saw that trailer. Supergirl is very much like, hey, we've done it. We've done what the impossible is. This is now like we've hit the home run. Now we're just hoping to keep running the bases. This is all the energy. Like we want you to be excited for the DCU in a way that's not the way Superman was. Like this, it feels more like they're selling it as like this isn't your grandfather's Supergirl or your father's Supergirl type thing is what it feels like, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. But be careful with that. Wasn't that the thing like the Henry Cavill thing with like Man of Steel? Like this isn't your dad's Superman.
Yeah, but that's the thing is that like it's that was the entirety of the Snyderverse in general. But the difference between those and the others is they were always gritty. Where this is like trying to be fun with its choice in music. I think that's why they're trying to be like this isn't what you think it's going to be. Like this isn't just another cookie cutter superhero thing. This is going to be different than what you saw before. Are you muted?
Sorry, I was just pointing out. See, I'm not alone in my fondness for the 1984 Supergirl movie.
I have nostalgia for it. That's all I will say about it.
Machiak, if I get that right, says in the live chat, "Kill me. I have a soft spot for OG Supergirl movie. It's so stupid, it's good. Yes, but there is some cute innocence about it. I like it over Superman 3 and 4. Don't hate me.
I like Superman 4 more.
I definitely like Supergirl more than Superman 3.
Yeah, that's what I will say as well. There was some things that got pointed out to me about Supergirl that the original movie that I didn't notice until somebody brought it up is the scene where she flies out of the lake.
Mhm.
It's a wooden cutout that flies out of the lake.
Oh, I don't know if I ever knew that, but I'll say this.
I saw it and I was like, wait, now and once you know it, you can't unsee it because it happens so
that's
fast.
unfortunate.
It's really funny.
But in like the scene right after that, when you see her like floating around and figuring out that she can fly and kind of like floating up and down from the ground slowly, that's like some of the best flying wire work in all of those Superman movies from the 80s. So
It's a shame that movie kind of just only was made because they weren't sure they could get Christopher Reeve back for another Superman movie. And Jimmy's the only one who's in all 5 movies. No one else is in all 5 outside of Jimmy.
but it's the only one out of that original, I guess, Christopher Reeve era that we didn't talk about when we were talking about the all the Superman movies leading up to Gunn's Superman.
Yeah, but now we can watch this movie
Yeah.
before this comes out, and then maybe I'll die before that happens. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe you'll get out of it, but
No,
yeah,
I was
I
just
don't-
talking to somebody about it because when you talk about that movie on paper, it sounds awesome. You're like, because it's like it's great. These great actors, witches, like them oogling men type of thing. Peter O'Toole. Like on paper, this movie sounds like it would be kind of amazing. When you watch it, it's terrible, but also kind of amazing because it's so terrible.
Yeah, there's definitely a certain audience for that movie. I don't know. I haven't found who they are yet, but I can. There's a lot of things in there that have appeal that I can definitely see people enjoying. It's just that it came together in a very weird package.
100%.
So Greg Gillespie, right? That's the name of this the guy doing this Supergirl.
Yes, he's a very prolific director.
Yeah, very
He's made quite
interesting
a
filmography. Quite a variety of things.
yeah. He made I Tanya, Cruella, the remake of Fright Night, and he also made Lars and the Real Girl. I love pretty much all those movies. I never saw Cruella though. That's the one. That's the one of those I didn't
I
see.
haven't.
But I
I've
heard it
heard
was
good
okay.
things. Yeah,
Yeah, I heard it was good for what it was because it is a weird movie to begin with.
I know a lot of
But
people were dreading it. A lot of people were like, "That's very dumb to make a movie about the villain who wanted to murder a bunch of puppies." But then the movie came out, and people were like, "Oh, it actually wasn't bad." Was what I heard.
yeah, it's once you accept it's its own universe and it's not really what that's about, or it's not really like it's not really the way, because even Maleficent had the same thing where it's like it's not really about the version of the character from what you know. It's its own universe where they're not a terrible person. Because that's even because Maleficent was like that. Because by the time you're done with Maleficent, you're just like, yeah, you don't need Prince Charming at all in any of this shit type of thing. Like none of that matters, sort of thing. There was a lot of memes that came out of that though of her mother getting punched out by a Dalmatian.
That there were memes that came out of the Cruella movie.
Yeah, because the one of the things that happens in the movie that I know of is that Cruella's mom is killed because she gets attacked by some Dalmatians, like guard
Oh,
Dalmatians.
so
or
that's why
something.
she hates dogs,
And
or
so
Dalmatians specifically.
because they're like sicked on her by like the movie's villain. And so there was a meme. There's this meme of like a guy like punching somebody, and so they edited it to where it's a giant Dalmatian punching out her mom. So it made me laugh every time I saw it because it caught me off guard because I hadn't seen it, and then once I found out what had happened, I was like, oh, so they made it to where she has trauma around Dalmatians because of that. But even by the end of the movie, it's clear she doesn't even hate Dalmatians in any way. Like in fact, the other thing I know about the movie is it seems to imply that she is the reason 101 Dalmatians, like the characters themselves, happen more than wanting to even do what happens in that storyline, if that makes sense. Like that's the only thing I always find weird about those remakes is that, or not even remakes, but those like type of things, is they're not actually evil in any of them, and that it doesn't seem like they end up actually doing the things that they did in the original version of the story, kind of thing. Because even Wicked's like that. Because when you watch original Wizard of Oz, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. The Wicked Witch of the West is fucking crazy. But where you watch, Wicked, it's like, oh, she's a misunderstood person, all these things and all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, but that's that timeline. The original timeline, she's a psychopath and she needs to die immediately.
Yeah, it's almost like these villain remake movies. They kind of try to have their cake and eat it too. But
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I never saw Cruella, but the Craig Gillespie movies I have seen are the 2011 Fright Night remake and I, Tanya, and both of those impressed me. Like I had zero enthusiasm for Fright Night. I love the original 80s horror movie, and I've been burnt by many a horror remake, but that one actually was really good, and I think a great companion to the original film. And I, Tanya was like a great like an award-winning movie. I'm sure it was nominated at least for things.
That movie is one of my favorite movies ever seen. This is funny. This is a true story. When I woke up to watch the press screening, because I saw it 3 months before it came out, my leg cramped super hard just before I went to go watch the movie. And I was just like, she's got me. Hi, Tanya got me. But I watched that movie and I'm like, this movie is fucking. That cast is so incredible. Like a lot of that cast is even more famous now than when that movie came out. And then he also, and Lars and the Real Girl is a very dramatic sort of film, which is why I was surprised. It's got a little comedy. It's like it's a dramedy is what it is, because it's about Ryan Gosling has a quote unquote partner who is just a like mannequin basically. And so that's what I found interesting, that he did that, and then he did, I, Tanya and all that stuff. And then he also made that movie about the GameStop shortage, stock shortage, dumb money. I never saw that, but I don't know. I've heard good things
I
about that.
did not know that's what it was about, but that must have been kind of his passion project because that's the only thing that he's written as well as directed.
Yeah, he really likes he has such a very interesting filmography, which is why I'm very excited to see what he does with this. Because we need these people to have their voice in the movies more than because the MCU tends to chop their legs and at the knee. They tend to kneecap people's visions on those, and I'm hoping that James Gunn doesn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, and he seems to be the creative, voice at DCU at DC Studios. So he at least so far he's talked a lot about wanting to be an advocate for the artist, the storyteller for their vision. But I want to also point out that the writer of the Supergirl movie, Anna Naguria, if I'm saying her last name correctly, the reason why this movie got greenlit is because she wrote a script adapting Tom King's Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, and James Gunn saw this script and has literally called it a masterpiece and was like, yeah, let's do this one next. It's great. It's ready to go. This is a perfect script. So they also put her on writing the DCU Wonder Woman movie that they're supposedly fast tracking, and rumor has it they might be casting a Wonder Woman to appear in Man of Tomorrow. So
I would be very excited for that. There's been some casting rumors. James Gunn shut down one of the biggest ones recently, which I'm happy to find out about, but I'm a little bummed because I would have been okay with it, which was the Dave Bautista Brainiac rumor.
I started that rumor way back a long time ago. I that was the first name I mentioned as like a possible Brainiac actor.
I think we did say that actually, but
Yeah.
but the news was claiming that was the thing, and James is like, no, that's not happening. Like he felt bad because he's like, he's my friend, and we're already talking about other stuff about bringing him in, but it's not gonna be his Brainiac. He says there's already choices for it, and he's like in the middle of all of it, but Dave Bautista's not in the middle of any of them, is what he said. So I'm excited because that means that we, even though all the current WB being sold news type things is happening, he still seems to be looking ahead for the DC universe and not worried about it.
Yeah, then that stuff wouldn't really. I mean, assuming the Netflix deal goes through, which is the one currently slated to. I know Paramount's trying, and both like Paramount and Netflix owning Warner Brothers both sound terrible.
Oh no, none of them sound good. Like when you see what they want, like Netflix doesn't give a shit about their game division, and Paramount seems to just be like, we're gonna make 30 billion things a year using these things, and you're like, well, that sounds awful.
Paramount is also in the process of becoming like pro MAGA media across the board.
Yeah, it's not a good time for that.
And hopefully neither one of those deals go through. I was listening to someone talk the other day how like the state level attorney generals might be able to block that. So, but before we go too far off on that tangent, I just want to say that we shouldn't worry about any of that stuff for a couple of years. It's not going to impact anything DC Studios is doing, especially not in 2026. But if the Supergirl movie is good, if it's something that we all like, that's good news for Wonder Woman because the same writer is currently working on that Wonder Woman movie. So
yeah, if that's true and this movie turns out fantastic, then I'm all for it, and I want the DC universe to continue to thrive even without Gunn, because that's the thing. This is all Gunn is focused on the Superman stuff. Everyone else should be focused on everything else because we know that Clayface is still in post-production because they've already finished filming. So I'm curious to see what the DC universe looks like, not just from the Supergirl movie, but once Clayface comes out and then once other stuff starts coming out. I want to find out if it lives up to scrutiny the way the MCU did in the first 3 phases, unlike the way the Snyderverse did immediately after Man of Steel. It's collapsed from not being consistent. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I think they're definitely at an advantage being able to look back at all the things that the MCU has done right and wrong and all the things the DCEU did. right, and I guess they must have done something right at some point, but all the things they did wrong. So yeah, hopefully the people in charge are learning from all that stuff and making good choices, and we get a good movie and at least a couple more before the billionaires buying all of our media ruin everything. But I don't want to end on a dour note like that, so I'll just to bring things back up, I'll just suggest there is like the possibility that we get David Corenswet as Superman in this movie. We might not have to wait all the way until Man of Tomorrow in 2027. We might get some Kal-El next year in Supergirl.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a beginning thing of like him sending her a message, be like, "Hey, happy birthday! Don't do anything fucking crazy.
don't do anything I wouldn't do." Yeah, whatever, loser. That guy's such a nerd.
Yeah, exactly. Or the ending, she comes back and she's like, and maybe it's like similar to the ending of Superman, but instead
that's what I would do. I
comes
would
through the front door sober, and he's like, "That's weird."
yeah, maybe like recreate that ending, but yeah, you do something a little different this time.
I would. That's what I would do, at least if I had that. Like, Crypto's nice for some reason.
But I would save Clark for the very end of the movie and then just like drop him in there at the end. But I don't know, maybe there's something big planned for him. I'm gonna say don't get your hopes up. Probably not. This is probably gonna be much more of a Kara focused movie, and if we see any Kal-El, I think it'll only be in one scene as a cameo. But who knows? I could be wrong. We only got 2 minutes of footage, so I assume it's going to be a 2-hour long movie or somewhere thereabouts. So there's a lot more we don't know. Even me, as someone who's read the comic it's based on, I still have a lot of questions. So I'm pretty eager to learn more and see more. But I am very excited with what we've seen currently.
Yes, it's a very exciting time as a Superman fan. And I also love the fact that the trailer ends with it saying, "Read the story this is based on." James Gunn's been really good about that, where he's like, "If whatever we make, I want to promote the things that we were inspired by," and it has it at the end where it says, "Read where it all began. Go to a comic book shop, bookstore, or visit DC.com, Supergirl, or even get DC Universe Infinite." He is very much like, you people need to read these comics. We are a company who makes comic books. We stop pretending we aren't.
And he doesn't even seem to have any creative involvement. I know he's like in charge of the comic book stuff, but he doesn't seem to be giving them notes or anything. My theory is that James Gunn is just like telling everyone else, like, leave the comic book guys alone, let them cook. Because,
yeah, the only notes I've heard of him giving is just reprint this trade.
Yeah,
he's gotten suggestions. Yeah, he's got suggestions from people being like, "Hey, what's something that hasn't published in a while that you would like a trade of?" And then you see apparently like he's been sending them off to be like, "Hey, if it's cool with you, if you can make another trade of this." And I feel like that's what's happened with a lot of the, especially like with Luthor, because I don't feel like Luthor was being had that many trades out at that point. So, and then there's of course there's the new versions of Kingdom Come, there's new versions of
all the stuff we were reading,
all the other stuff we read. So he's very much like, I want people to have access. And then there's the compact editions as well. Like, that's been huge for DC. I don't think that was part of what he did, but it definitely seems to be like, this is a good way of selling these stories as well for just really cheap. I'm very happy with DC's, which is why I want them to leave the comic book side alone, because they are fucking firing on all cylinders, and I love them for it.
The last 2 years, they've like the Absolute line and like a lot of the main universe stuff. Having Mark Waid be such a big presence in the company again, I've been enjoying a lot of the content.
Yeah, ever since they toppled Dan Didio's statue over the DC offices, it's been wonderful.
Jesus, it's like we could have had this all along.
Like, yeah, it's really funny because I like the amount of Bat books dropped dramatically as well, and every other book like shot up and how much was being done. I'm like, why weren't we doing this before? Why weren't we funding this type of thing? It's wonderful. Yeah. I've never been happier with the DC universe. I like the DC universe more than like Marvel right now. That's a fact. On both sides, on both movies and comic books, they're doing to me much better. Especially with the stuff with Avengers Doomsday, all that weird fucking rumor shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope those movies are good. I've seen a lot of good Marvel movies, so if they drop the ball next year, that's a bummer. But yeah, hopefully they do a good job. I'm not gonna be too upset about it. Um, but yeah, I'm definitely I haven't seen anything from Marvel. I don't know about Spider-Man 4. I don't know about Avengers. I'm seeing stuff for Supergirl, so right now I'm more excited for Supergirl than that other stuff. But
Yeah, I'm very excited. I want you guys to all know that DC. This is the DC universe I wanted this entire time. The second the MCU took off, this is what we should have gotten from DC instead of what we ended up getting. Because imagine that universe. That would have been that. I want to see that universe. Them going toe to toe.
yeah,
in
if we had
theaters.
been if we'd been doing this for 20 years, imagine where we would be now.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. But yeah, this is gonna be our last show probably of 2025, unless like something insane happens in the next 2 weeks. But I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to talking more Superman in 2026 and more Superman family. We're definitely going to read Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. We might need to find some other Supergirl comic stories too, if there's any other
Yeah,
ones
we'll
that we
do
think might be.
we'll do that story. We'll do the Supergirl movie, of course.
Mm-hmm.
We can read the Superman, Batman, Supergirl introductions. Yeah, if we can find like some of the reintroductions of Supergirl stuff, we can even look at the differences on those.
Yeah. And we're also going to be following that Jimmy Olsen show and might read some like the Matt Fraction Jimmy Olsen comic.
Which is also wonderful if you guys ever get a chance to read that.
Yeah, so we'll have plenty to talk about in 2026. But until then, happy holidays and Merry Christmas and have a Happy New Year, everybody. And until next time, keep it super.